Hi everyone! Today we're going to talk about the Digital Complexion range by Kryolan. This range has been developed specifically for film and TV, but if you like the makeup, no makeup look, if you work in fashion and editorial, or if you just like the beautiful, clean, natural looking skin, these products are for you. They have a beautiful range of foundations, full cream palette as well. There's a massive range of different shades. It tells you on the back which colors are inside. And the good thing about this palette as well is because you can actually replace the colors. So if you use too much of one shade specifically, you can actually take them out and just replace that one particular shade, which is great as a makeup artist. They also have a range of liquid concealers. They have neutralizers as well. So you see the purple and I have the orange, and I have a few concealers as well. Also part of the range is the finishing powder. This is a really beautiful powder, goes really light on the skin. I'm actually using this whole range right now, and I'm going to show you how to use it. So I'm starting just by moisturizing my skin. I'm using the Dermacolor Moisturizer Cream. It's really nice and light, and it goes really well with any skin type. I'm just applying a little bit, and I like to blend that with my fingers. I'm going to do one side of my face with the liquid foundation and the other side with the cream foundation. With the Digital Complexion foundation, I'm actually quite a good match to the 016, but it just depends how tan I am or not. So I'm just going to give it a try and see if I need to adjust it. Now, if you are a makeup artist, my suggestion is to get a few different shades. You see from very light to very dark, and then you can mix and match these foundations to suit your clients, okay? Now, to apply liquid foundations, you can use brushes. So this could be a kabuki brush, a big fluffy brush, something a little bit more dense as well. This is a traditional foundation brush. I don't actually like using this one as much anymore. I really prefer these big fluffy brushes, but I guess it all comes down to preference as well. If you want, you can also use a beauty blender or any makeup sponge. I do suggest damping the sponge, but I actually never use water to damp the sponge. I just use a setting spray because that's going to help melting the product onto your skin, and that's going to help your foundation last a little bit longer as well. So you only need about one pump. This one is nearly gone. About a pump of the foundation. If you want a little bit more coverage, yes, you can apply a little bit more, but I always suggest starting with a tiny little bit and then you build up the layers, because you don't actually want to start with too much product because it's harder to bring it back. So it's easier to just build the layers slowly. And sometimes you have more pigmentation or blemishes in certain areas of your face. So you don't actually need that much foundation all over, okay? So I'm going to use this brush here, and I'm getting just a little bit of that product, and I'm going to push the product on my skin. So the Digital Complexion foundation was actually made specifically for film. But if you like the really natural makeup look, this product is perfect because it's really lightweight. You can hardly see that on the skin. As you can see, if I come a little bit closer, it's very natural. It does cover imperfections. It doesn't feel heavy on the skin at all. And you can build the layers to have a little bit more coverage if you want as well. If you work in fashion, editorial, perfect. Amazing foundation, really lightweight. You can hardly see it. And it has a beautiful smell. Something I find good as well is that this foundation doesn't actually have sunscreen. And I like that because I'm allergic to sunscreen. So certain products give me really bad hives. So I've been breaking out for maybe 2 years now, and I couldn't really pinpoint exactly which ingredient. Certain sunscreens are fine, some other sunscreens are not. So for me, having a foundation that doesn't have sunscreen in the formulation is actually a good thing, because then I can be more selective with the sunscreens that actually don't damage my skin or don't make me break out. Pretty good match. And I haven't even used everything I have on my palette. Just bringing that to my ears. Now, one thing I see a lot of people doing when they're applying foundation, it's actually stopping the foundation just here. So everything needs to be one color. So your face, your chest, your ears, and your hands, okay? And I feel like a lot of people forget that. And this is a really nice and liquid foundation. Oh, the sun came out. So I can actually bring that product under my chin. It's gonna bring that all the way down. And you see, I'm just applying a little bit more on my brush. I'm not actually loading another full pump of product, okay? I've done a little bit of color correction. Let me take my hair out. So I can actually now build a little bit of coverage on top. To do the chest area, I would always go for a liquid foundation. Much easier to blend, easier to apply, tends to be a much larger area as well. And sometimes you don't need too much coverage too. You want something very light just to even out. As you can see this side, where I have that, it's a lot more even than this side that I haven't actually put any foundation. So if I come close, you can see the difference. Now on the other side, I'm going to use the cream version of the Digital Complexion. It comes in a really wide range of colors, as you can see here on the back of the palette. It has all different skin tones and undertones, and you can also mix and match as well to find the perfect shade for your client or for yourself. I'm going to use the exact same shade so you can see the difference from the liquid foundation to the cream foundation. And that's how much product I'm actually going to use. So I am just putting that on my palette. And I'm going to get another brush to apply that. I'm just going to pin my hair out of the way. And I'm going to use this brush. And the technique is very similar as well, even when you're applying a cream foundation and a liquid foundation. The difference is some cream foundations have more wax in them. So sometimes they're a little bit harder to manipulate on the skin. So you really need to warm up the product on your palette or on the back of your hand first before you apply on your face. This one is actually quite creamy and it goes in really nice and smooth. So it's actually quite easy to apply. You don't need to mix with anything. You can go straight with the cream to your face. And you see, I usually put a little bit on a palette. See how I take the excess off? And then I have a very small quantity on my brush. I'm going to push that on my skin and we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did on the other side. The shade is very much the same, so it should be able to get a perfect match on both sides. It does have that kind of like blur effect to the skin. I am a little bit shiny, but that's fine because we're gonna powder that later. But you see how just by applying that, you kind of blurring all the pores. Now, because I have this palette, I'm actually going to use some darker shades for my bronzer and my contour. So the bronzer is always a warmer shade, so it has a little bit more yellow in it. So you have to think about that sun-kissed kind of look. So if you go for a walk at the beach, for example, and then you get a little bit of suntan. So that will be around your forehead, sometimes a little bit on the nose, and on the top of your cheekbones, okay? So I'm going to use a warmer shade that we have here. This one looks nice. Maybe this one actually. And I'm gonna, again, place it on my palette. And I'm actually gonna use the same brush I used for my liquid foundation, doesn't matter. So I'm gonna use the same brush and I'm just going to gently push that on the skin. So slowly we're gonna start building a little bit of dimension on the face. You may or may not choose to do that. It just depends on kind of what kind of look you're going for. You can see the difference there from one side to the other. But if it's like an everyday makeup, you don't have the time, not that much of a problem. But again, really easy to blend. You see I'm using the cream. Get rid of all these little baby hairs. Really nice and natural. You do get like a really nice transition from one color to the other. And here as well. Top of the cheekbones. Okay. And now I'm going to use an even deeper color to do my contour. Now, the contour, we're going to use just a tiny little bit of product, okay? Again, I'm just getting the excess off my palette. And with the placement for your contour, you really need to think about the bone structure of your face. You can see here, you can see it's quite easy to see where my contour needs to go, okay? So I'm just going to follow that, and then we need to blend it up, okay? I don't want to see that stripy line. I actually need to make sure that the transition from one color to another is seamless. The main thing here is just the blending, okay? I can see that. So we are going to push the product very nicely on the skin until you can't see that line again. You can see there is a bit of a difference on this side than from this side. Now we're going to repeat. And you also want to bring that color just under your jawline. Again, you don't want to have a stripe sitting under your jawline, but you want to emphasize that shadow. Now, you're probably thinking, what about your nose? I don't actually contour my nose. Why? Because I think there's a bit of a trend there. So everyone feels like, oh, you have to contour my nose. My nose is actually quite thin. If I contour my nose even more, it actually looks ugly. So I'll just leave it. I don't need extra contour on my nose. Okay, I'm happy with it. So now we've done the contour and the bronzer. I'm going to add a little bit of highlight as well. Okay, and for that, I'm going to use a liquid foundation. So I don't have every single shade of the range. So I'm going to mix the 011 with the 016. So I get a shade that's slightly lighter than my skin tone. And I'm just using a different brush, a clean brush. And I'm just going to gently place that in the middle of my forehead. Again, I'm not doing any crazy highlight or contour. I just need to, again, make sure all the colors are blending in seamlessly into one another. So that's why I'm using a really fine brush. And if you can see what I do, I actually get a bit of the product and I do that to take the excess off. So you can see on my palette, there's like a little pile of product just sitting right there. So that's actually the excess of product, okay? Now, just pushing that on the skin. You can push, you can blend, you can use a circular motion. Again, I've done a little bit of color correcting under, so I prefer to just push the product on top. If I didn't have to do any color correction, or if I'm using a super full coverage foundation, circular motion is fine, okay? I feel like there are different ways of applying your foundation, whatever suits you. And you can see how undetectable that product is on the skin. I haven't done my eyebrows, I haven't done my eyes yet, but you can see how nice and natural it looks on the skin. You can still see my pores. All the colors are blended really nicely into one another. You can see all my baby hairs. And it still looks very natural. If you like the tutorial or if you have any questions, just put on the comments below and let me know which other products you'd like me to review.